Growing older is not simply about adding candles to a birthday cake. It is about entering a new season of life where peace, wisdom, and family connection matter more than anything. Many people imagine old age as a time of rest and reflection, but in reality, it is also a time when our actions, words, and choices have the deepest impact on those around us. Our families carry our stories forward. They are the ones who will remember how we lived, not only how long. And yet, without meaning to, older adults sometimes create distance or even pain for the very people they love most. That is why reflecting on how we interact with our children, grandchildren, and loved ones is so important. By avoiding certain mistakes, we can make the later years not a burden, but a blessing. These 5 life lessons remind us how to protect our family bonds and how to leave behind harmony instead of regret. Firstly, never burden them with constant complaints. The reality of aging is that the body changes in ways that can be frustrating. Joints ache, steps feel slower, and the energy that once seemed endless fades more quickly. You might feel tired in the mornings, or your nights may be restless. There are days when even simple tasks feel heavier than they should. Sharing those struggles is natural. Your family wants to know how you feel, and they care deeply. But when every conversation becomes a long list of aches, illnesses, and disappointments, you may unknowingly drain the energy of those who come to see you. They love you, but they do not always know how to respond when complaints fill the room. They may feel helpless, sitting in silence as you describe pain after pain, guilt rising because they cannot take it away. Over time, visits may become less frequent, not because they do not love you, but because they leave feeling emotionally exhausted. Complaints create a cycle that does not serve anyone. You express your pain, they feel powerless, and both sides carry sadness. But the truth is, sharing your difficulties in moderation is healthy. What creates harm is turning every visit into a stream of negativity. Balance is the key. You can talk honestly about your health, but you can also share small joys. You can remember a happy moment from childhood, tell an old story about when you were young, or laugh about something light. The point is not to deny your pain, but to choose not to let it define every interaction. Imagine your words as gifts. If all you hand over is sadness, your family walks away heavier. But if you share gratitude, even in the smallest form, they leave lighter. Something as simple as appreciating a home-cooked meal, smiling at a grandchild's joke, or noticing the beauty of a sunny morning can shift the energy. When your family sees you holding on to hope despite hardship, you teach them resilience. That is a powerful legacy. Secondly, never make them feel guilty for living their own lives. As parents and grandparents, you have poured love and sacrifice into your family. You may have worked hard, gone without, and put their needs above your own. In your later years, it is easy to expect that this devotion will be returned with frequent visits, daily phone calls, and constant attention. When that does not happen, loneliness can turn into disappointment. You may feel forgotten, sitting quietly at home while the younger generation runs from one responsibility to another. In that space, guilt becomes a tempting tool. You may tell them they never come enough, or remind them of all you once did, hoping to awaken their sense of duty. But guilt is a heavy chain that binds love in the wrong way. When you make your children or grandchildren feel guilty, they may comply at first, visiting out of obligation. But obligation is not the same as genuine affection. Over time, guilt erodes closeness, creating resentment instead of joy. It helps to remember that your children are carrying lives filled with challenges you may not see every day. They balance work, raising children, financial pressures, and sometimes personal struggles that they hide to protect you. They are not absent because they do not care. Often, they are absent because they are overwhelmed. By giving them freedom rather than guilt, you open a doorway for love to flow naturally. Imagine how different it feels when they walk into your home and see you smile with joy instead of reproach. Even a short visit becomes meaningful if the atmosphere is warm. And when they leave feeling welcomed, they are more likely to return, not out of duty, but out of desire. Think of family relationships as plants in a garden. They flourish when given sunlight, water, and care, but they wither if pressed down by force. Your love should be the sunlight, not the weight. When you accept their presence as a gift instead of demanding it as a debt, you create space for true closeness. Thirdly, never control their decisions. One of the great challenges of aging is learning to let go of control. Throughout life, you may have been the one guiding, leading, or deciding for others. You may have offered wisdom that saved your children from mistakes. And your experience is valuable. It comes from years of living, from victories and failures alike. But as your children and grandchildren grow into their own lives, they need the freedom to make choices. Trying to dictate how they raise their children, how they spend money, or how they pursue careers creates tension. What feels like guidance to you may feel like control to them, and control often drives people away. The world that your children live in is not the same as the one you grew up in. Technology, society, and opportunities have changed. Methods that worked decades ago may not always fit today. When you insist that your way is the only way, you unintentionally dismiss the reality they live in. Instead, offer your wisdom gently, in a spirit of humility. Share your experiences as stories, not commands. Say what worked for you and why, but allow them the space to decide for themselves. In this way, your advice becomes a gift they can accept with gratitude, not a burden they feel they must reject. Think of yourself not as the captain steering their ship, but as the lighthouse shining from the shore. You provide direction, warnings of danger, and light in the darkness, but the ship must still find its own course. That balance protects respect on both sides. They will value your words more when they know you trust them enough to choose. Fourthly, never leave them with financial stress. Money is one of the most sensitive issues within families, and in old age, it can create invisible walls. Many older adults worry about medical bills, retirement funds, or simply making ends meet. In some cases, the natural instinct is to turn to children for ongoing financial support. While asking for help in emergencies is natural, relying too heavily can create tension. Even if your children never complain, they may feel the strain of carrying both their own household and yours. Financial pressure is a silent burden. It may not be spoken aloud, but it weighs heavily on relationships. Over time, it can turn love into quiet resentment. Protecting your family from this kind of stress is one of the greatest gifts you can give them. Managing your resources carefully, avoiding unnecessary debt, and living within your means allows your children to love you freely, without the shadow of obligation. They will not remember how much you spent, or what you left behind in material wealth. They will remember the peace you carried in your later years. Even if your financial situation is modest, handling it responsibly shows your children a lesson in dignity. And if help must be asked for, framing it as temporary or specific keeps it from becoming a lifelong expectation. Think of the legacy you want to leave behind. Do you want your children to look back and remember a constant strain, or do you want them to remember gratitude for the way you protected their peace? The true inheritance you leave is not measured in money. It is measured in the love, wisdom, and stability you provide. Finally, never shut them out with bitterness. Old age can bring a mix of emotions: loneliness when friends pass away, regret for things left undone, or sadness for opportunities missed. These feelings are real and should not be denied. But when they harden into bitterness, they build walls that separate you from your family. A bitter heart may criticize constantly, see only flaws, or withdraw completely. Family members may hesitate to visit, not because they do not care, but because they fear the atmosphere of coldness or criticism. Over time, bitterness becomes a shadow that darkens not only your life, but theirs as well. The choice to stay open, even in hardship, is one of the greatest acts of love you can give. Bitterness closes doors, but kindness opens them. Your children and grandchildren long to feel your warmth, to hear your encouragement, to receive your blessing. Even small gestures make a difference. A gentle smile when they walk into the room, a word of encouragement when they share their struggles, or simply listening without judgment. These moments leave lasting memories. They will not recall every word you spoke, but they will always remember how you made them feel. You have the power to turn the final chapters of your life into a season of love, not of regret. By refusing to let bitterness take root, you give your family a gift that no one else can. You show them that even in old age, the heart can remain young, open, and full of grace. In the end, these 5 lessons form a guide for how to keep family bonds strong when it matters most. Never burden them with constant complaints. Never make them feel guilty for living their own lives. Never control their decisions. Never leave them with financial stress. Never shut them out with bitterness. Each lesson is simple, but together they form the foundation of peace in later life. Growing older does not mean fading into the background. It means becoming a source of light, a gentle strength that others look toward. Your family does not need perfection from you. They need your patience, your kindness, and your open heart. By avoiding these mistakes, you give them something far more valuable than money or possessions. You give them peace, and that peace will echo in their lives long after you are gone. That is the true life lesson of old age. That love, when given freely and without condition, becomes eternal.